What's up, people? I'm back. I was supposed to do this last night. I fucking fell asleep. Sorry, guys. So, I guess a couple of things. I'm gonna do Ginger Snaps 3 this Friday. I didn't have an opportunity to watch it at all this weekend or this past weekend. Um, and the music video related list video will be this Sunday. But bands I love will make a return sometime this week. I'm thinking probably more likely it'll be either maybe Wednesday or Thursday. Probably not Wednesday. Probably Thursday, most likely, during the day. So, but today I am reviewing a movie that I just watched last night. I saw it a year ago. I'm stupid. Someone showed me and I just remembered it. It's called Rogue. It's an Australian movie, essentially about this group of tourists who are stuck on this little island and have to defend themselves against a crocodile. Really good movie. Like, one thing I really liked about it throughout the film, they do not explain at all where the crocodile came from. It just exists, which I like. I like when things just kind of exist. You don't have like a backstory or anything like that. Yeah, this thing it just exists, Oh, yeah, this thing has just been here. They don't go into like how it got there or how it got so big. It just was there. So the premise is Pete, who's this American, who's really into like, goes to Australia to go on this tour, where he meets Kate Ryan and a couple other people. Well, there she gets a distress call, sees a flipped over boat. They get attacked by the crocodile and they're forced to go on this small island. They meet locals named Sam Worthington's in this. He's probably the biggest name in this movie. He plays like a local named Neil. And basically they have to survive on this island because they're forced to go there, and that crocodile throughout the film then it eats them. And I gotta say, the Croc looks really good. Like, for a lower budget movie, granted they don't show the crocodile a lot. It's mainly like towards the end, like the second half, where you do see it a lot more, but and they shot it at night. But it looks really good. Like, watching it last night, that was one thing I was really noticing. Like, yeah, the Croc looks really good for like a really lower budget movie. The kills are pretty gory. I thought some of those aerial shots they would kind of do a couple of times throughout the film were pretty good. The characters are okay. Like, I think Pete and Kate are okay. Granted, Kate should not have survived. That's my only thing. Because there's a portion where she gets taken by the Croc. Pete follows it. And that final act is really good, though. When it's Pete versus the crocodile on his own. He gets, like, his hand bit off. And then it's, like, he kills it in a realistic way. Like, don't worry. I like explosions and stuff. But they didn't do that this time. He killed it with, like, a giant log. Like, really sharp log. Kind of realistic, too. I kind of think that's like a realistic way to take it out. So, but overall, really great movie. Even though Kate should not have survived, she literally got bit by this giant croc. She should have lost a lot of blood. But anyway, aside from that little thing, it's fine. It doesn't ruin the movie or anything. Overall, really great one. Probably 8 out of 10. If you like creature features, I definitely recommend this one. It's good isolation horror. And, yeah, it has, like, this visceral aspect about it. Made by the same guy who made Wolf Creek, that's a movie as fuck. And maybe one day I'll review that one, too. But, yeah. Rogue is great. So we're gonna get started here. Later tonight, or today, I'm gonna be doing Leprechaun in Space. Oh, God. And then I think I'm done with the Leprechaun movies, because I've already did the Hood ones, so, yeah, but we're gonna get started here. So the movie opens up. We meet Pete, who goes on this Australian tour, and I do like how the film that sets itself up like you're just in these like the wild. This is where he meets Kate. She's like the person in charge of the tour. They're kind of, there's some locals named Everett. I don't remember. I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember every single local's name. You have a man who has a wife. You have a man and a wife and his kid. There's a dog there, which good they didn't kill the dog. A little something different, but so they kind of look at some spot wall on the tour. This is where they meet Neil, who's played by Sam Worthington. He's like an asshole, like kind of. At least he starts off that way, but then Kate gets a distress call and sees a boat turned over. And when they find the boat, really good, like, kind of way to get you in the movie. Granted, there is a shot of the croc early on, like, because there's like you see like a regular sized crocodile, and then like for like a quick second you see the big one, which was cool. So like they drop it in there a little bit, but they don't like. They wanted to do it almost like Jaws. You could not Jaws specifically, but like meaning like they wanted to make it a bit more character focused and not just we're not gonna spam the crocodile, which is fine. I'm kind of cool when movies try to do that, But yeah, so they find the boat, but their boat gets turned over by the croc, and it's not able to work. So they're forced to go on this little island. Kate realizes they're in gator territory, not gator, croc territory, and she like knows a lot about crocodiles. And Everett, I think he's like I'm not gonna call him, he's like a Karen, like the male version. But so so one of the tourists like tries to like I think calm the guy down because he wants to like go across the street, not across the street, but across. But Kate refuses because she knows she's in they're in croc territory. It's too dangerous. So one of the tourists gets eaten. You don't see it, but you just kind of see him. He's like on the edge, and then you hear like a splash, and then he's gone. So her husband is gone. So one of his wife, kind of like starts freaking out. Neil and his friends show up initially, like acting like they're not going to help him, and then they're going to go help. Their boat gets turned over. Neil manages to make it, but his friend doesn't. And yeah, I really love isolation horror. I've always loved. I think to me, it is like one of the most purest forms of horror because you're left alone, or you or a group is left alone with this creature or entity, or killer. I've always loved that, just you're by yourself, and either by yourself or you're with somebody, but they're in the same position as you because you're all kind of fucked, and you got to try to protect yourself against this creature, and you have really nowhere to go at night. So they come up with an idea to use the zip line to kind of get across. But I think the girl's name is Mia, who her husband was just killed. She tries to go across, but she initially freezes. Everett gets impatient, so long with this, because he has like a wife and a kid. He tries to go across and force it, but then the zip line breaks. They all fall in the water. I think some of them manage to make it back, but Neil ends up getting killed. I think somebody else gets killed. Then Pete decides to use like a hook or an anchor. He decides he's going to use that as bait to like lure the croc at his direction while everyone else makes it across. So I do like that the characters try to come up with like ways to escape. It doesn't just feel like they're all just retarded. And I really love the aerial shots. I do. I think it's such a cool, like the way they would transition from like regular shots to like aerial was pretty good. So Pete attaches like I think like a dead bird to it, tracks the croc. Most of the people manage to make it across, but the thing loosens. So the Croc ends up taking Kate, um, seemingly killing her, which it should have, but that's just me. So Crocodile ends up grabbing somebody else before Pete decides to follow it to its lair. Which I really loved its lair. I loved the moment when they got there. It was a nice little place to face it. So his friend ends up dead. He finds Kate, who, I'm gonna say it again, she should have died. The crocodile like bit her. There was like chunks of her leg missing. I am like, okay, how is she alive? Like she would have bled out. So, and this is where we get basically our first real full shot of the gator. I keep saying gator, Croc. And yeah, it looks really good. For a lower budget film, that's probably why they didn't show a lot of it. Like you would see its tail when it would go back in water, or you see it a little bit. But I think it was a good move because honestly, the moment you see it, it's like holy shit. And like I said, I like that they don't explain. They don't say, "Oh, this thing was radiated," or "This is a prehistoric crocodile." Either no, this croc's just big, and it's here. I like that. I think that's cool when sometimes things just exist, you know? So, the Croc notices he's there, chases Pete. Pete tries to get away. He gets in this little crevice of the cave, and then the alligator is biting, but when it bites, it manages to bite like a couple of, I think one or two of his fingers off. Pretty, like, my God. So, he finds this giant log, like sharpened log. He heads over to her boulder and just kind of uses it as like a spear while the gator charges at him, and he manages to kill it. It impales it through its head. Well, no, before that, he stabs it like in the eye, and then, yeah. So, I gotta say, that's like a nice, interesting way to kill the Croc, because they could have went like the typical route like a lot of these movies do, which is just like an explosion or whatever. So I like that they went with something different, and it makes sense. It's realistic. The crocodile's own momentum kind of fucked it up, you know? So, Pete manages to grab fucking Kate. Rescue copter's there to save everybody. It's daytime now. And then they kind of cut to like a little news thing talking about what happened, like a newspaper. Overall, really good movie. Like, really underrated movie. If you like creature features, this is a one, and it tries to be serious too, which I like. Don't get me wrong, I like the goofy ones, but I'm fine when they try to somewhat be serious too, you know. I really thought the gator was cool, even though, yeah, you don't see a lot of it, but it works. The characters, like, you know, Pete was alright, Kate was whatever, the group was whatever. It's like, I'm not really watching for the group. I was more watching how more of the isolated aspect. And I think that really works. Like, I love isolation horror. I think this one does a good job with it. So, the kills, granted you don't get a lot of them, are pretty hard hitting. The pacing's pretty good for this movie. It kind of gets going, really. Yeah. So, definitely recommend it. It's not on a service, unfortunately. Just if you can find it, it's a pretty good one. I think the final act's pretty good. I love the cave setting towards the end. It's gritty in a little bit the way some of the kills are and just the way it's shot. But aside from that, awesome movie. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10 overall. Definitely really good one. So later tonight, I am reviewing Leprechaun in Space. This is where the Leprechaun franchise just kind of goes off the rails. But in Space, I remember just being really bad. Like, not in a good way. Like, Leprechaun, the hood ones are bad too, but they're at least fun ones that can kind of sit back. I remember in Space being, like, just bad. So, we'll see. Watching it later. But aside from that, not much, really. So, my cheers and peace out. But as usual, Leprechaun in space review tonight. Watch Rogue. Rogue is pretty good. I'll go into later after my Leprechaun review what I got planned throughout the week. But as usual, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit later tonight. Peace.